In this installment of Project Breakhorse, Episode 2, we will talk about where we've been from buying the truck to current day. These first few photos, these document me taking body panels off of the Bronco to see what was truly underneath the fresh, if you will, coat of paint. Found a lot of holes, found a lot of Swiss cheese, and further inspection really just pushed me over the edge to say that I need to do a full frame-off restoration of this. Never done one before, but hey, you got to start somewhere to learn, right? So in these pictures, you can see in this one, there's a lot of tiger hair, fiberglass repair, and then my body's all steel, so that didn't make sense to me. I took the dash apart and I found that there were things living inside the heater vents and inside the frame itself, small game, rodents, whatever. There are remnants of all of it. So I said, okay, well, it's time to get this thing down to the frame to start working on it. Now, funny enough, that's a nice camera, isn't it? Yeah, we'll get back to that. Anyways, I'm taking more pieces apart, and you can see some of the tiger hair on the left. I'm taking most of the panels off to where I figure I got to pull the engine in order to get this tub off of the frame. So I get into the engine and I find some other pieces that don't really look normal. It had a Mustang water pump on it. It had hoses that weren't radiator hoses. Regardless, I said, okay, I'm going to pull the engine and I'll worry about it later. Let me just get all of this apart.
All right, come back here.
With the engine finally pulled, I said I'm going to get it on the stand and again, worry about it later. Right now, I need to figure out how I'm going to assess the damage to this frame and then get it sandblasted, get it painted until I can build it back up to a rolling chassis. The pictures of the engine show here that I put it on an engine stand and I just stowed it to the side of the garage for the time being. Finally, with the tub and frame exposed, it was time to start tearing the rest of it apart. Then there were the Blue Angels. Finally, when it was time to begin filming this project, the Blue Angels came to town. And my lovely girlfriend decided to leave her beautiful camera that you had seen prior on the beach with all the memories that were stored in it. Even the reveal. There was a special video for the reveal on the camera. Well, that's okay. We can replace it. And that's why we haven't really been around, and that's why this video is going to show you all pictures and segmented videos of getting down to the bare frame because there was no camera to document that. It wasn't pretty how we went about it, but we were able to get the tub off of the frame by just using simple physics and leaving things lie on the garage floor with limited space. But it exposed a lot of work underneath the tub itself, figuring out, okay, here's what steps we need to take to get the bare frame to sandblasting and painting. Meanwhile, once the body was off, I started to get the idea that I needed to start to do something with the engine because I was at a standstill of how I was going to get this frame sandblasting and paint. I knew that I had to get these axle tubes stripped down so that I could take those with the frame itself to sandblasting because I needed to get those painted as well. As you can see, there's a hole in the frame, so that started the wheels in saying I need to get this welder down to my house and start welding things. But I knew that I had to just finally rip into stuff. It wasn't just taking it out of the car, it was actually looking at the internal mechanics, and that was a lot to process. So I took a little bit of time off and then said, okay, I'm ready to do this. As you can see, carriers are apart, axle tubes are broken down. I'm already pulling out rings, pinions, gears, all of it to where the garage looks empty because everything is gone. Now at this point, I decided it's time to tear down the engine and, well, more camera issues. I thought, what a great idea. I can go out and get a GoPro, hang it from the ceiling since I have no DSLR in my possession, and document the whole breakdown of the engine. But it never recorded. It only got that video, and the rest were corrupted files. So here's the block the whole way stripped down. But, I was angry, decided I'm not going to waste my time filming all this. I'll just keep on moving. Then I had a change of heart, and I said I should probably film this because it's pretty exciting stuff, and most people would want to see it. So it took me a couple weeks to get back on the camera grind and filming and doing all that. But as you can see, these parts are going out to the machine shop to get assessed and see what I have to do to get it rebuilt. Dip the block, get them to do a bunch of work for me so that I can get all the parts and build it in my garage once it's finished. So that lastly brings me to getting everything ready for paint. So I had to strip off old rust and paint. I got a blast cabinet to do most of that work, and I had the frame and axles taken to a guy who did it in his backyard. He did an excellent job. I can't say enough about how great of a job he did. And also, Karina learned a little bit herself about doing some sandblasting, as you can see from the following video. So all in all, it's been an intensive project, and a lot of work has been done behind the scenes, to the point now where videos will feature more of how-tos or just filming me putting things back together in large chunks so that you can actually see a visual representation of how this process goes over time. But biggest things coming up: drive lines, paint, and somewhat putting a whole new tub together from scratch. So stay tuned.